Hey YouTube, Chloe here, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is an important conversation on marriage, being the breadwinner, loyalty and disloyalty, and the expectations that often comes with a woman's duty as a wife versus the often contrasting expectations that comes with a man's duty as a husband. Particularly when their partner has become sick or ill. And in this video, I want to address the reactions and the responses to Nene Leakes herself admitting to being overwhelmed as a breadwinner and to using antidepressants, which is a fairly common prescription for both men and women these days. And I'm also going to address role reversal and the damning and the damaging effects that role reversal have on women, because we all know that role reversal is a pretty common phenomenon, expectation, and standard for Black women when it comes to Black men. Now, reality TV queen Nene Leakes most recently admitted, and I need to remind my viewers, my listeners, and my lurkers that this is her admission to being on depression medication as a result from the pressures of being her family's sole provider and of having a husband who thankfully is now in remission from stage 3 colon cancer. And it also goes without saying that Nene's depression probably also comes from having to face the very frightening possibility and the very frightening reality of losing her husband. And that would make any wife sick, sad, and depressed. But I made the post on the YouTube community tab to honestly hear your thoughts and to read your responses and your feedback. And you all did not disappoint. And I honestly didn't even think about making a video on this. But many of you wanted to hear my thoughts, and many of you wanted to know my point of view. And my point of view is, of course, Nene should be taking care of her husband, and she should be taking immaculate care of her husband. That is what being a wife is all about. And that is the priceless value of having a wife by your side in sickness and in health. MGTOW and Red Pill. Being a wife is about being a nurturing support system for your family. So, of course, I believe in the sacredness of vows. And Nene is doing what is to be expected of her as a wife. Now, I know that many of you are triggered by this channel, but just because this channel is about femininity, feminine open dialogue, hypergamy, and dating up and leveling up does not equate to me advocating for wives to put on a parachute or to put on a pair of roller skates, or for wives to pack their suitcases to bail on or to abandon their husbands when they have stage 3 cancer or when they become ill or sick. But, and there is a but, I will always encourage women to marry well, and I will always encourage women to marry men who have a protector and provider mindset as a standard. And quite frankly, a woman shouldn't accept anything less than that standard, which is why you need to subscribe to this channel. Otherwise, a marriage where your husband isn't a provider from jump will be a dusty marriage and a train wreck waiting to happen. Now, we all know that if a known celebrity like Nene Leakes chose to abandon her ailing husband while he is at a life low and a low point and has cancer, that it would be an absolute SHIT show, a PR nightmare, and that she would be raked over the coals and shown absolutely zero mercy from both man, woman, and child. But I made the post on the community tab to highlight Nene's admission, her own admission of her depression and her admission, in her own words, not my words, of being the sole provider for her family and the tremendous toll that it has taken on her mental health. And I made the post not to drag her husband Greg or to drag a sick person or an aging person, but to highlight how role reversal can hurt women and how role reversal can harm women and how role reversal can make a woman sick and how role reversal can influence and increase a woman's masculinity and how role reversal can put a woman into a major depression. So, a woman who is providing for her husband. No matter how many ways you slice it, ladies, is an unnatural role. And I will always stand by this because role reversal is unnatural. And so many women try to buck their natural wiring to be provided for by trying to normalize providing for men and trying to turn providing into a 50-50 two-way street. But a woman's wiring will always come for her wig, her edges, and her scalp and gather her and collect her and get her all the way together to remind her that role reversal cannot work. And a lot of women, particularly black women, are in situations where they are financially holding down a man and being the provider and being the breadwinner, and they are paying a huge, one sided, lack of reciprocity, self sacrificial price, not only because they are being used and used up, but also because they are seriously damaging themselves by compromising their emotional, their mental, and their physical health for a person who otherwise wouldn't do the same for them. And this is a huge blind spot for a lot of black women because being a breadwinner and taking care of black men is a huge part of our normalized dysfunction. And that is why I will always encourage women to be feminine and hypergamous and to seek out men who have a provider and protector mindset because hypergamy is good for a woman's health and can literally save a woman's life. Now, with the Nene situation, yes, in the beginning of her marriage, her husband invested in her and held her down and became a father to her son. And her husband, Greg, also helped to create opportunities for his wife that eventually landed her to be the queen mother of all housewives. Now, Nene's situation is not a situation where she married some sick and broke a geriatric man who's hit the wall, who has one lung, and is walking around with an oxygen tank. So, yes, Nene will return the favor and display her loyalty. But I also need to remind you that she doesn't have to be happy to oblige in her role reversal. Nene, like most wives who are participating in role reversal, even when it's temporary, even if it's on the back end of a marriage, will have to save face, and she will have to grin and bear it because role reversal is tough on any woman. But on this channel, I will never stand for twisted, dusty logic or twisted, dust bunny logic and the narrow minded men and the pick me women who magically somehow find their way to this channel, who bark the loudest and who want to pretzel twist and turn the idea of hypergamy and dating up into something that makes a woman selfish when the truth is women are wired to seek providers and protectors, whether they are young and whether they are old. Unfortunately, there will always be women and men who will always advocate for women to receive the short end of the stick because ashy misery loves company. But no matter how many ways you slice it, ladies, being a provider for a man for an extended amount of time will put in a tremendous strain on any marriage and will cause resentment in any woman. And resentment held in for a long time almost always leads to depression, even if your man provided for you in the very beginning. Now, some of you may not want to hear this, but women are not naturally wired to be financial caretakers for men, sick or not. And no matter how many ways you slice it, just because a woman can do a man's job, which is to provide and protect, does not mean that she wants to do a man's job. And when a woman is doing a man's job, most women will not like it, just like most men do not like being caretakers for sick women. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Most women who make significantly more money than their husbands become agitated, they become naggy, they are often temperamental and hypercritical with their men because they are wearing the pants. Most women do not want a Mr. Mom or a stay at home husband, and not too many women can stomach the obligation of wearing the pants, especially not for an extended period of time. And it is very difficult for a woman to respect and admire her husband when she is the breadwinner, sick or not. And respect and admiration are very important ingredients for a successful marriage, whether the marriage is a young marriage or an old marriage. When women are breadwinners, It often causes a lot of strain and a lot of power struggles within marriages for both men and women. Ladies who are listening, and my viewers who are listening, a man's ego suffers tremendously when he is emasculated, whether sick or not. And a woman who has to pay the bills and hold her sick husband down is still a human being with feelings. But most women who find themselves in these precarious situations will repress their complicated and complex feelings for taking care of a sick partner due to fear of harsh judgment and backlash. But I also want to highlight the double standard that comes with a woman, that comes with husbands and wives who get sick on their partners. I want you guys who are listening to notice something very specific about men and when their partners get sick on them. Yes, life is unpredictable. Yes, life comes at you fast, and life comes for everyone in unexpected ways. And yes, marriage isn't always a crystal stair or a Cinderella story. Life is a series of mountain peaks and valleys. But I need to say this, there is a huge double standard with men when their wives are sick. Most men either bail or they want their lives back or they want their future back. Now, are there loyal men? Absolutely. But women are much more likely than men to be the victims of partner abandonment. And this is why I encourage women to put themselves first. Why? Because it is in a man's nature to be disloyal. And it is in a man's nature to put himself first. Men are loyal to themselves, whether they are 18 or 80. Look at Larry King, who is now filing for divorce at the one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel age of 85, and probably already has another woman half his age lined up. Just like in the case of the super entitled Dusty Dan and his openly disgusting method of being a caretaker for his wife, B. Smith. The only reason why Dusty Dan is still even in B. Smith's life is to collect and to eat well and to live well and to use B. Smith's money and her success, her lifelong success, to impress that equally disgusting Snow Bunny who is reaping the benefits of the beautiful B. Smith's success and life work. And when the Dan Gatsby, the entire Dan Gatsby, Alex Lerner, and B. Smith situationship reared its ugly head last year, there was a huge hush over Jerusalem with men. There was no collective outrage of Dan Gatsby's actions by men. And I want my lady listeners to take mental note of that. It was mainly women, black women, who put Dan Gatsby's head on a spike. But in Nene's situation, can you even imagine if she were to have an in-house lover while Greg went through chemotherapy? She would literally be gutted, roasted over hot coals, and honestly, a move like that would most certainly end her career. So that's all I have to say on this for now. Thank you always for sharing your thoughts and opinions. Boos and cheers are the same thing to me, so I take nothing personal. And yes, I absolutely agree that marriage is in sickness and in health, but in Nene's case, her marriage is the exception and not the rule. Everyday wives are not turning into powerhouse reality TV superstar millionaires. But ladies, in general, being a breadwinner for a man is a recipe for resentment and a recipe for becoming a woman who becomes sick and depressed. And any woman or man who tries to otherwise convince you otherwise is a person who wants company in the gutter. So stay tuned for more videos to come, and I will catch up with you in the next one.